Milling Through History presents The Holy Grail. In Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, we see everyone's favorite archaeologist back once again, and this time he is on the hunt for perhaps one of the greatest treasures of all time, and that being the Holy Grail. Now, the Holy Grail is most closely associated with the Last Supper and Jesus Christ, and according to the Bible, Jesus would use the cup in the very first Eucharistic celebration. And later, the same cup from the Last Supper was used to collect the blood of Christ at the crucifixion. Now, there's been a great deal of question as to how this legend all began. In fact, the story of the cup is just a very brief mention in the Bible, and then just disappears. And so scholars have questioned exactly the origin of the Grail, and have wondered if there were other parts of the origin not even told. Some people believe that the Grail could be a combination of tales of magical cauldrons being used by pagans that was combined with Christianity in order to make the new religion sound much more appealing to those who were deemed heathens or pagans, and similarly to those who in the early Christian movement wanted to have conversions and tried to create more of a mass appeal. Now, other scholars dismiss the pagan claim and note that there are references to the Grail in artwork from as early as the 12th century. But again, that doesn't exactly disclaim or discredit the idea that you were trying to create a more appealing aspect to those that believed in multiple gods or paganism. Instead, if anything, it helps to bolster the claim. What is known is that the legend of the Grail became very popular with the legend of King Arthur, specifically how Arthur sent his knights out to find the Grail in order to restore his own kingdom of Camelot. Now, throughout the years, a number of relics have emerged which people have claimed to be the Holy Grail. One tradition claims that the Grail was brought from Jerusalem to France, and then was brought to Troyes, but was lost during the French Revolution. In the 20th century, a number of relics appear, all of which claim to be the Grail. These relics include the Nantios cup, which is a wooden bowl found in Wales, the Antioch chalice, a glass dish found near Glastonbury, which is greatly associated with the Arthurian legend, and the chalice of Dona Urraca, found in Lyon. But while all of these particular chalices have certain degrees of skepticism put to it, there are two which are most closely associated with the Grail itself, and worshippers in Christianity and Catholicism believe that one of these may actually be the legitimate Grail. The first is the Sacro Catino, which is a green glass dish closely associated with the Grail after the Grail romances were written. And yet the other one, which has a bit more legitimacy to it, is that of the Holy Chalice of Valencia. Now, the central portion of the chalice cup is a cup which could be right from the time period, but is thought to have been brought to Rome by St. Peter, not Joseph of Arimathea. In fact, there was those who pointed out that John Paul II, while doing Mass, used this particular chalice and said that this was the actual cup of Christ. And so there are those believers that say if one of the popes is given a nod to it, it must be legitimate. Now, the problem, though, is that while there are those that say, yes, this is it, others discredit it, and immediately they go to the Arthurian legends and the Grail romances as saying that, well, this is just a work of fiction in order to make stories more popular. And throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, many books have been written about the Grail, and with the advent of film, even that was being done. In fact, the earliest film to even talk about the Grail occurred in 1904. And while people's imaginations will run wild with this rather unique artifact, there is no denying that when it comes to the Arthurian legends, Grail romances, it is certainly something that's unique, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the Holy Grail, it's much like what Sean Connery said in The Last Crusade. It's a matter of faith, and that's what's perhaps most important of all. For more information, please consider these suggested titles. Be sure to click on the left-hand side of the screen to subscribe to our show, and on the right-hand side for our latest episode. And we will see you again for the next episode of Milling Through History.